I decided it was time to dismantle the back of the rack and drill those holes like I wanted to do. So I'm going to go ahead and dismantle the back portion of it. Again, totally unnecessary. You don't have to do this. I have an older version, and you'll see why I wanted to do that, I think, when you see how tight the wires are in the holes. You can see, like on this one where it has the 2 heater wires and the thermistor wires, it's really crammed into there. Very nice quality, nice radiused corners, nicely formed, really protects it well. The holes for the wires to go through to the shelves are a nice oval. Going to assume they probably used a CNC machine. Now I've taken the front completely apart before, but I haven't taken all the rivets off the back before. But that's what I'm going to do this time. And the wires are in nice little bundles. We'll keep them that way. So these 4 are on this leg of the power, these 4 are on the other leg of the power, and then these 2 are the thermistor wires. They just go straight through the block, and we'll be popping apart or opening the zip ties, replacing those also, and then this can just stay on there. Okay, well, let's see what we can do with this. Gonna go ahead and just pop those off of there, being careful not to clip the wires, of course. And these connectors, they just push down, and they've put 2 of the conductors in each side of that, and they've kind of twisted the pairs. Maybe I'll solder them when I put them back together, don't know. Okay, so I've got the 2 sides, and then the thermistor connector. And this block can stay there because I just need to be able to have these feed through the hole. I'll have to pop this apart again. All right. Okay, now I have to disconnect these 2. Because then those can be fed through there. All these other ones can be fed through. Okay. This part, let's see, I'm going to be lifting this up so I can drill those. That can just stay there. Okay, now we'll drill the rivets out. We've got the brass screw. And of course we have to do this on both sides. I think I showed that on an earlier one, but after my sister got hers, I countersunk this. Originally this was just a hole, and so this screw the screw head sat completely above that. But I saw hers was countersunk. I liked the look of that, so I did that with mine. And all this scratching is from the little metal plate angle piece that I was putting in there to help keep the ice from hitting the tray and resublimating. On the newer machine, the ice is so much more even across the whole side that it doesn't really do that as much. So it's less of an issue. And we'll show some of that on something. So just drill out the rivet head. I'm gonna have to get something to hold on to the rivet head, or the rivet. Maybe. There we go. There we go. Might be better to put them together with some little bolts so I can dismantle it every so often and clean. Okay, let's see if we can get this second side. Trying very light pressure. Now, I probably have to poke those through to be able to get this apart still. And I still need to be able to feed the wires through, and I haven't done that yet. Okay, so get those pushed through. I couldn't find the little nail set, so I just got a little nail. I'll just kind of poke the rivet body through. That one's going to be a little more tough. I'll have to fish it out of there. That looks good. Okay, got all the little rivet bits. Yeah, that one's hitting the plastic pieces there and just bouncing back. Okay, so all of them are loose except that one because that rivet just bounces back, so we'll be able to take care of that. Okay, so I need to untwist the pairs. Okay, that goes through there. Okay, I should be able to just lift this up now very gently and feed these through. And this one's the toughie because it's so crammed. All the rest of them should be just fine. Just very slowly, carefully raise that up and feed them through. And geez, that could definitely use a cleaning. Yeah, so this is where the shelves touch inside. So they have 500 or 5 years and 600 batches of stuff that could never be quite cleaned because of the construction. Wow, that's interesting. And by interesting, I kind of mean it's disgusting. It was definitely time to tear that apart and clean it. So I'll get this all apart, cleaned, and then we'll come back and drill some holes. So now I'm just going to increase the size of those holes a bit. I would like to go with the ovals like on the new one, but that would take tools I don't have. So I'm just going to go up a size or two on this. I really don't want to cut through the bottom, but on the new one, the top is a groove across the top. I don't remember what the bottom was, but the top one just has a groove. So anyway, we'll go a size or two, and that will make it much easier for the wires to go through there. And especially on this one with the thermistor wires also. Of course, I'll have to be careful about hitting that. So I'm going to start with this one. This is the one that I really want to be able to have because it has the 4 wires going through. There's one size. That's already quite a difference. That would make it a lot easier. And I can go from both sides to make sure that I don't leave a burr there. So I'm going to go ahead and go one more size. Okay, so I went 2 sizes total. Now come in from this side. There we go. There, nice and smooth. So smooth on both sides. And not a huge hole, but considerably bigger than that. That'd be a lot easier to get them in there. And they won't be so strained on there, I think. So I'll go to 2 sizes bigger on this one. There's one. Okay. All right. like that. And I definitely want to get an aluminum plate to cover this whole thing like the new one has. There it goes. This one could be a little snug. We'll watch that. And two. One more to go. It really looks like the whole rack would be replaceable. You just have to change out the connector on the machine itself, and then the new rack would plug right into it. Everything else looks completely compatible. Okay, I'll get this cleaned up and we'll come back and reassemble. So with all of those carefully tucked back in there, you can start reassembling the rack itself. So I definitely like that better. I'm going to start with the little brass screws on the bottom and get those in there. And this is basically just screwing into this plastic on the bottom to help hold it into place. So it's screwing in like this far to keep it in place. Go ahead and lay it down. Okay, then with that, we've got it laid down, then we can start getting the rivets back in. And everything looks good underneath. Get those popped in place. And then flip it over and get the other side. And then we can finish the wiring. So just press it down firmly, pull it, and pop that off of there. And I really should consider using the little screws and bolts so I could dismantle it easier, and I might do that later. Well, that's the first time I've had this back end off in 5.5 years, over 600 batches, or about 600 batches. So it's not something I'm going to do every day. But I think I will try to figure out a better way to do a little bit better cleaning in those spaces, because that area was pretty yucky. That is back together. Now, just need to route the wires back to where they were and plug them back in. Okay, and of course each one of these, one side goes over here, one side goes over here for each one of these, with the exception of the thermistor, which go into that block by itself. And we'll make sure that all the ends are nice. So take one from each of these and bring it over to here. So that's the set that will end up in these two blocks. And then these are the set that end up under this side. Okay, got that reconnected or twisted. With that, you can push down this connector and plug them in. Do the same for this one. Yeehaw! Make sure they've got a good, solid connection, electrical and physical, for each one of those. And then that will get zip tied in place on that side. Now the other two, I'm going to go ahead and put this one in here. And this one. I think the newer one, the way they've done their connectors, are definitely better. So I'll have to look at that more closely and then model mine after that later. Okay, all of them solid. Now the thermistor, one of them goes on this side and one onto this one. because that follows through to the wires on the other sides of those. Okay, and then those, I can get the zip ties on those to reattach them. Now the last two are the ones that come in from the top. And that, you have to get both of those at the same time. Make sure that's a good connection. Same with this side. Make sure it's good on both wires. Okay, those are ready to re-zip tie. And I think I'm going to try these little zip ties and just go through the block here. And get this one. And then the one at the top. Okay, so I'll tighten all those down, double check the connections, and then that's ready to go use again. And I'll clip off these extra pieces. So let's get those tightened down so that they are holding everything snugly. Now I do still need to do an aluminum plate to cover this, because that would be really nice. And I can use the other one is a little bit of a model, but this one's slightly different, so it has to be a little bit different, but it's just bending metal. It's not a big deal. Okay, so cut off these excess pieces. All right, and I think that's it for that. It gave me a chance to clean under there, which hasn't been done in 6 years, or 5.5 years. Put a little bit bigger hole there, so now they're not so crammed in there. Especially those were really crammed, but a couple of these I could see little scrape marks from when they were put in there, and it probably has a small amount of expansion and contraction, a little bit of movement over time, and there's some scratches on the insulation. Now there's enough space for it to actually fit through there. Okay, I think I'll put that back in, get it in use.